Okay, Bezat Hashem, we're picking up today in Pirkei Avot, Perek Vav, Mishnah Daled. Now this Mishnah says a statement that is very difficult at face value. I'm going to say three explanations of this Mishnah, Bezat Hashem. I suspect Yosef over here is gonna like. He's not gonna like the second one so much. But let's see. Three perushim of this Mishnah. Be'ezat Hashem.
Which Mishnah?
It's Perek Vav Mishnah Daled in Pirkei Avot. We're going to learn how does one acquire Torah. How do you become successful in studying Torah? That's what the Mishnah here talks about. Avot for sure, we already spoke about that, that's true. But even on top of that, Adoni, you could join us if you want. Bakasha. You could join us, Bakasha. So the Mishnah says as follows, Kach hi darka shel Torah. This is the way of Torah. How do you become a Talmid Chacham? How do you become a Ben Torah? Pat, ready? While you're eating breakfast. Pat b'melach tochal. Bread and salt, you should eat. You don't even have salt, you see? Azai, you're not even Mekayim the first thing. Bread and salt you should eat. You don't even have salt. You don't have bread either, but okay. No, rice cake is like bread. Bread and salt you should eat. Umayim b'msurat tishteh. Water in measure you should drink. You're drinking coffee. I'm telling you, Yosef, all off today. Mayim b'msurat. Misura means a small midah. In small measure, drink a little bit of water. A little bread and salt. A little bit of water. Ready? Excited? V'ala aretz tishan. Sleep on the ground. Forget about your bed. V'chaye tza'ar tichyeh. Live a life of pain. This is an unbelievable Mishnah. Uva Torah ata amel. And invest your energies, efforts into Torah. This is a very difficult Mishnah. This is the way of Torah. How do you become Talmid Chacham? A little bread and salt, drink a little bit of water, sleep on the ground, and live a life of suffering. And if you do this, Ashrecha v'tov lach. It says in Tehillim, fortunate and it will be good for you. Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. Fortunate for you in this world.
How could it be Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh?
How could it be Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh? Yosef's saying, if you're eating bread and salt, it's not Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. If you're drinking a little bit of water, you're sleeping on the floor, it's not Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. No, Ashrecha ba'olam. 1 second. Ashrecha. 1 second. Right. Kasha. Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh v'tov lach la'olam haba. So fortunate in this world, good for you in the next world. So you're asking, that's not Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. It's not. You're eating bread and salt, you're drinking a little bit of water. Eggs is much better. Right?
Be explanation.
It has to be explained. Very difficult Mishnah. Let's continue and finish the Mishnah and then we'll go back and explain. But the first part of the Mishnah says you want to become Talmid Chacham, you want to live a life of Torah, to live a life of suffering. That's what it says. Very difficult Mishnah, very difficult concept.
Wow.
And also, as Yosef just pointed out, it seems to be inherently contradiction because first you say, drink a little bit of water and a little bread and salt, and then you say, Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. Ma ze Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh? Ze lo Ashrecha. I mean, most people, that's not Ashrecha. Let's finish the Mishnah. Now, if somebody becomes a Talmid Chacham and he's amassed tremendous knowledge, become a great rabbi, he knows a lot of Torah, so what could easily happen at that point is, he could say, now that I become such a Talmid Chacham, now I want Dula. Now I want Srara, I want authority, I want positions of power. I want to become the rabbi, I want to become the rav, I want to, etc. I want positions of authority. But the Mishnah says, even though you learned so much Torah, al tevakesh gdula la'atzmach. Do not seek positions of greatness for yourself. It's not a good thing.
Rabbi is no good?
Well, to be a rabbi for the right intention, but not gdula, not because I want to make myself feel great, but not because of that. Al tvakesh gdula la'atzmach ve'al tachmod kavod. And don't desire kavod. You could, it's true, you're right. If the position gives you the ability to teach, that's fine. But the point is, if you're just doing it so you could be called in a way of ga'ava, rabbi, etc., that's, no. Even though you've amassed tremendous Torah, you have to keep yourself in check. You can't let that get to your head. This is a very interesting statement. Yoter milimudach aseh. More than what you studied, more than what you learned, you should perform. What does it mean, more than what you studied, you should perform? Yosef's going to love this one. What's the pshat? More than what you studied, you should perform. What does it mean?
You learn to make one thing like Kedoshim Teyu. You gotta be Kadosh, not because you're allowed to be with
Beautiful.
you know.
Beautiful. So the simple pshat is, if you learn Torah, you should even use that to perform more mitzvot. Meaning, you should learn Torah for sure, but then in a greater way, do ma'aseh, do even more ma'asim tovim. But in an additional way, what's that?
It's more important, no?
Ah, Limud Torah is very important. You can't negate that. But in another way, the Mefarshim here speak out, is that when you learn, so there will be times where you're misupak on something, you have a doubt about something. So yoter milimudach aseh, more than what you studied, you should perform. Is when you're misupak, you have a safek about something, be machmir. Be machmir means, like you were just saying, Kedoshim Teyu, a little bit like that, which is you should do more than what you studied if you have some sort of a doubt. We spoke about this last night, actually. Don't desire the tables of kings. Don't run after the enjoyment and the pleasures of kings of this world. Because your table, the Keter Shel Torah, and we mentioned this yesterday, the crown of the Talmid Chacham of Torah is greater than the table of the kings. Your crown is greater than their crown. Now that means, as we're going to see in the next Mishnah, actually we're not going to do it today, but we're going to see that the greatness of Keter Shel Torah, the greatness of the crown of Torah, is even higher than that of kings and Kiuna. We mentioned that yesterday, actually. So don't run after their glory, their enjoyment, because your enjoyments, your levels of greatness as Keter Shel Torah is greater than theirs. And the owner of your labor, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is trustworthy. He's going to pay you back for whatever it is that you've performed. So it might look like you're not getting it, you're getting the raw end of the deal, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to make sure that you're ultimately taken care of. Beautiful Mishnah. Now let's reflect back in the beginning of the Mishnah. So let's just run through it outside. The first part of the Mishnah says you should live a life of suffering. That's the way to acquire Torah. Eat a little bread, a little salt, drink a little water, v'chulei. The second part of the Mishnah says that once you've studied like that, don't let it get to your head that you start trying to get positions of power. You have to stay humble. Which, like you pointed out, for sure, if it allows you to teach others, etc., it's beautiful. But it's not ideal if it's going to bring you in the wrong direction.
How are you able to reach high levels of Torah if you're eating bread and drinking water? That won't give you enough sustenance.
Enough that you need. Enough that you need. Enough that you need. Tzaddikim have done this throughout the generations.
Yeah.
They've done it. That's Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. People have done this. Hashem supports them. And then the last thing we said is the greatness of Torah is even greater than that of Melachim, of kings. So let's reflect back on the beginning of the Mishnah. Firstly, we asked is, logically, it's hard to understand exactly what does it mean, Pat b'melech tochal, live a life of suffering. It sounds like a very difficult concept. And Yosef saying even more, Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh, we say it's fortunate for you in this world. It doesn't sound very much like Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. It sounds like suffering ba'olam hazeh. It doesn't sound. And you could say that, by the way. We do say, the Gemara says, tzaddikim don't have great life in this world because they get a great life in the next world. But here it says, Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. So what does it mean, Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh?
Inside you, very, very happy.
Oh, beautiful. I like this pshat. Okay, I'm not going to say it.
You're establishing what the Mishnah
1 second,
is
before that, Yosef's saying a pshat, which is beautiful, is maybe Ashrecha doesn't mean financially. Ashrecha means you feel fulfilled. You feel satisfied because of the life that you're living.
I had a lot of money. I was never happy like I have today.
Beautiful.
I don't have money.
Amazing.
I'm peaceful with myself.
I like this idea. It's not necessarily in a physical
So
sense.
that's Ashrecha.
I think it's beautiful. What do you want to say?
that you're, by doing so, it's like basically you're following the Mishnah. The Mishnah says do this, so you believe what the Mishnah is saying. Meaning you're applying what the Mishnah is saying in action.
And
Put it in my car.
Therefore you feel
Where's your car?
that you're...
Sorry.
You have
I didn't even know it was in my car.
inner, meaning that because you're establishing what the Mishnah is
I
saying,
need a new battery.
you're following the Torah.
Get a new battery.
So by doing so, it's you're saying, okay, Hashem, I believe what you're telling me.
So what's that shrecha? What's that shrecha?
That you're believing in Hashem, that this is the way to do.
Oh, okay, I hear. You're saying like similar
I guess it's
a similar idea. So I'll tell you three of them before Shem, what they say. We have Rashi, we have the Midrash Shmuel, and we have Tiferet Yisrael. 3 ideas, different ideas, very interesting thought processes here. Now I'll read you. First is Rashi. Rashi says like this. Pat b'melach tochal, Rashi says, eat bread and salt. Lo ala ashir hu omer sheyamod b'cha yitzar kedei lilmod Torah. It's not saying that a wealthy man has to live a life of suffering in order to learn Torah. That's not what it means. The way you have to interpret the Mishnah is Elachi kama afilu ein la'adam ela pat b'melach. It's saying afilu. You got to add in an afilu. Even if all you have is pat b'melach, you're a poor man. You have pat b'melach. Ve'ein lo kava keset lishon. He doesn't have a pillow. He doesn't have a blanket. He sleeps on the floor. Ela la'aretz ali mana mila'asok ba. You shouldn't refrain from learning Torah. You shouldn't stop from learning Torah. Desofo lilmod ota me'osher. This is the first pshat. Rashi explains, the Mishnah is not saying you need to live a life of suffering. What the Mishnah is saying is, even if you're living a life of suffering, you shouldn't stop learning Torah. Ultimately, Hashem will take care of you in the end. Everybody hear that? This is...
Say it again. Say it again.
Rashi, you have to add in an afilu. Afilu.
Man, learn Torah, even you don't have food, you don't have nothing, don't stop.
So why is this pshat a little bit difficult? Because the implication of the Mishnah is, l'chatchila, this is what you should do. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like, pat b'melach tochal, it sounds like that's what you should do, regardless of your wealth. But Rashi is explaining, afilu, you need to eat pat b'melach, afilu, you're sleeping on the ground, still you should be osek in Torah, and Hashem will ultimately take care of you. So it's a different way, it's a different angle in the Mishnah that's not the simple pshat. Yeah, that's what Rashi's learning. Now, what he is coming out would be is, but a person who has money, he doesn't have to suffer. Let him live comfortable, etc. He doesn't have to suffer, and he'll also learn Torah. Right? That's Rashi. Fine. Comes along Midrash Shmuel and he says no. Midrash Shmuel says that's not the pshat. He says Pat b'melech tochal is even for wealthy people. Even for wealthy people, which is kipshuto, the simple pshat. Mishnah is telling you an instruction for everybody. Let me just read to you. The Kati quotes in B'kitzur. He says like this: even for wealthy people, Midrash Shmuel says, who could enjoy this world, who could live comfortably and have all kinds of good things, shelo yargil atzmo bahem. He shouldn't accustom himself to living in the lap of luxury, to living so comfortably. He shouldn't. Because of that enjoyment, and he becomes spoiled, he becomes pampered. What happens is, he's not going to be able to learn Torah properly, and he won't be able to acquire the Torah as part of himself.
Why not?
Why not? Because he's distracted by the other things that he's enjoying in this world. And he takes it a step further. If he does accustom himself to living so comfortably and with enjoyment, he's not going to be able to learn as much because he'll be busy running after his parnasah to sustain his lifestyle, and therefore he's not going to be able to learn with the same focus. I want to add one nikudah to what he's saying. How is it possible that tzaddikim in past generations, they fulfilled this Mishnah? They were able to eat, Rachanina ben Dosa. He had a kav of kruvim, Erev Shabbat, Erev Shabbat. He had a tiny amount of nothing, and he ate, and he learned the most Torah, and he taught the most Torah, and he was the greatest tzaddik to ever live. And we, when the air conditioner breaks in the Beit Midrash, we can't even learn. What's a pshat? The answer is, they were machshiv, they valued Torah so much, and everything else in this world was hevel avalim, they didn't care. So when something else went wrong, it didn't make a difference. They were the same people, they continued to study Torah. So according to the Midrash Shmuel, but we're so spoiled. We're so accustomed to things. We have air conditioning and indoor plumbing and all the things.
We're not even close.
We're not even close. We get so comfortable with the things that we enjoy in this world, and when those things don't go our way, we get so upset, we get so uncomfortable, we can't even think, we can't even study. I don't have my coffee in the morning, I can't even learn, I can't even teach. What's the pshat? I'm so accustomed to my own ta'anugim, whatever it is, to my own things. Okay, so that's Midrash Shmuel. So he says even for ashirim, even for wealthy people, it's kedai to live.
Basically be humble, even you could eat steak.
Exactly. Because engaging in that lifestyle where you're involved in those kinds of pleasures, etc., will naturally diminish your ability to acquire Torah, a real kinyan nefesh. Very, very interesting
also
shot.
maybe because if you eat very, pat lechem and this and that. And then you learn Torah, you enjoy the Torah. Otherwise, you enjoy you steaks and this better than the Torah.
Very good.
I used to have
very good. I used to have a friend, I remember, a very special friend, Shalom, Ketov. I had a very special friend, I remember. I know. Baruch Hashem, Mazal Tov. Welcome. I had a friend who was very chashuv, very special, and I remember, this is a little extreme, so don't try this at home, but instead of eating bread, he would eat matzah throughout the year. Why? Because matzah, he thought it stays in his stomach longer. So he could eat this and learn more Torah without having to eat again later.
Wow.
So that's a madriga. I wasn't on that level, I can tell you that much. Now the final idea I want to share with you is the Tiferet Yisrael, and he says similar to Rashi, but I'm going to just tell you one nikudah a little bit different. Tiferet Yisrael says like this. What the Mishnah is telling us, Azra Ashrecha, how is it? So he says like this, when you start to learn Torah, it has to be ba'amelut. It has to be chayitzal. The only way that you could start to learn Torah, when you're starting off, at that point, it has to be with such effort and investment and not engaging in other things. After the fact, he says, even though in the end he's going to get kol tovot ha'olam hazeh, he'll get all of the good things, Hashem will take care of him, but in the beginning of the process, when you're starting to engage in Torah, if you're distracted by those things, it won't be successful. So that's how he learns the Mishnah is, the beginning is pat b'melach tochalu mayim b'masuret tishteh, but in the end, ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. Meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make sure if you really invest yourself and you acquire the Torah in that way, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of you after.
You do what you gotta do, then he take care of you.
Exactly. So we have three ideas here, three pshatim, really. The third and the first tied together. But three ideas, let's run through them again. We have Rashi who says, a rich person could live, fine, no problem. But a poor person, saying even a poor person should engage in Torah even if he's suffering. That's the idea. We have Midrash Shmuel who says, no, even a wealthy person, it's kedai for him to refrain from pleasures because if he engages in those, diminishes his ability.
Yeah.
And then we have Tiferet Yisrael who adds on a little bit to Rashi, is in the beginning, it has to be Pat B'melech Tochal. Yeah. But in the end, Ashecha Ba'olam Hazeh. Stop here, Bezat Hashem, I'll pick up. Hey, everybody have a wonderful day.